Hey guys, I'm Evan. Welcome to Country View Acres. So in this video, we are going to be putting blown-in insulation in the ceiling here above the workshop so that we can heat it in the wintertime. But before we can even blow any insulation in there, there's a few things we need to address first. And the first thing is going to be the trusses. The roof trusses are spaced 4 feet apart, and that's an awful long span to be able to try to step across. These are the only things to walk on up here. So I've decided to put in some walk boards. So I went and got some 2x10s, and I've got that laid out here on the roof trusses. And you can see this little pocket here. We got a nice little, it's like a little hallway, right? We got a nice little walkway here where we can walk back and forth and blow in the insulation. So we're going to go ahead and attach this to the roof trusses so that it won't move around. And then we'll do the same thing to the other side. We'll have 2 nice walkways to be able to do all the work that we need to do up here. Caught on my shirt. Woohoo! So we're planning on putting about 12 inches of blown-in insulation on top of this metal ceiling, and that's going to end up being somewhere about that tall. And that is taller than the front of these trusses here. So the insulation on this end could possibly fall out the front onto the floor. So we're going to add some 2x6s to the front of this just to make the front a little bit taller, just to help hold back the insulation and keep it above the ceiling. All right, we got the 2x6 added to the side here. So this ends up being about 9.5 inches. We had to overlap it a little bit. So, yep, right around 9.5 inches. So that ought to be good enough for now. So we got one more thing we need to do before we can put insulation in here. And that is going to be these outlet boxes. You can see the light shining through. We're going to have to put some spray foam around that to make sure none of the insulation falls down through the ceiling. So between all the outlets for the lights and outlets for plug-ins and the ceiling fan, we've got a total of 12 electrical boxes up there that we're going to put spray foam around, because I don't want every time I slam the door shut that we get like snowfall of insulation in the workshop. So I just don't want that to happen, so I want to try to seal up the ceiling as best as possible. So I'm just going to use this Great Stuff window and door spray foam. So this is a low expansion, and that'll be perfect so that we don't get extra foam coming out of the outlets in the ceiling. We don't want it to expand so much that it starts leaking through the ceiling. So I've got all the outlets in the ceiling all sealed up with spray foam now, and I think that's all we need to do. Everything is ready for blown-in insulation. So here in a couple days when the weekend gets here, we're going to run and grab a whole trailer full of blown-in insulation. I think we're going to get about 50 packages of it. We're going to get the machine that you use to blow it into the ceiling. Hopefully it'll have enough hose to be able to reach all this. And we're hoping that we can get it done in a day. All right, we're unloaded 50 bundles of cellulose. This is 1,150 pounds worth to put in the ceiling. So we've got an insulation blower here. We're gonna have to start putting this together. I think that's some extension cord in here, but comes with two 50-foot sections of hose, and that should be enough to be able to reach up in there and get everything blown in. So we're going to roll out a roll of insulation on each end, and what we're doing is we're covering up these corrugated areas because I'm afraid that the cellulose would work its way down and then start falling in the workshop. So we're just going to cover up each end just to prevent cellulose from getting in this corrugation and falling down, into the workshop. All right, I got the insulation down. I got it over the wall, and I actually have it somewhat stapled all the way down to the side here, just to keep it from moving as we blow in the insulation. So I don't know whether this will really work or not, but I'm trying to do anything to prevent the insulation from falling down into the workshop, and this should help, I would think.
Okay, so it came with two 50-foot extension cords, so I plugged them into different walls, so it should be on different circuits, so it doesn't blow breaker. And then there was two sets of hose. I think they were 100 feet each.
I think they're 50 feet each.
Oh, okay. So there was two hose clamps. It was missing one hose clamp. So I got one on the blower, and then the two hoses we got put together. One has a hose clamp, and then we just taped the other one. There's like a metal pipe between them to slide them together. So hopefully it stays together and insulation doesn't go everywhere.
So today, the weather has warmed back up. It has been like in the 50s and 60s the last week. Today, it's warmed up almost to 80, and it is hot as can be up there. The machine says it can do about 1,000 pounds in an hour, and we've got 1,150. So we'll see if we can do it in an hour. That's probably for somebody that's good at it, and probably having two people load this hopper. So I think we'll put a timer up, and we'll see exactly how long it takes us to blow all this in. So this insulation blower has a couple different settings. We had to play around with it to get it the way we wanted it. So it's got this remote switch. It's on a cord, like 100 foot long or longer. It's got a belt clip on there. And I'll be able to clip this to my belt, and then I can turn on and off the agitator, which will basically stop feeding insulation. So if that's basically a remote control for me to be able to turn this on and off as I work up in the ceiling. All right, we got the insulation blown in on the first half of the ceiling. So we still got the other side over there to do. And we got this one side done in an hour and a half. Took a little longer than we wanted. So the first side of the ceiling, we ended up using 38 packages of the cellulose insulation. So we only ended up having 12 packages left. So we ended up going back to the store. We bought another 26 packages. We're gonna have to get those unloaded. So that's gonna end up being 38 packages per side, total of 76 packages. So it's not going down, it's not going on the ceiling as thick as they said it was going to. So I'm trying to at least get a good 7 inches thick up there. It's not going on 12 inches thick like it should. But anyway, we should have enough to finish it out. And I think the next side's gonna go quicker. I think we've got it down now, so hopefully we can get that next side done in like an hour. All right, I think we're ready to start up again. We've got the hopper full. We've got a bunch of packages already opened up and ready to go in. We've got windows open. We got a fan trying to take the dust out of here best it can. And go ahead, climb the ladder and get started. All right, we just finished up. We got all 76 bags of insulation on the ceiling, and it looks pretty good. You can see walkways covered up, everything looks fairly even. So it's just not quite as thick as I want, but we did get this a lot thicker this second time around. All right, this is what the shop looks like afterwards. You end up with cellulose everywhere. Helps to have like a good floor to be able to sweep it up and then work it back through. Rebecca's got this cleaned out pretty good. It's actually cleaner than when we got it. But the person loading, probably the dirtiest job.
I don't know, you look pretty dirty too.
Do I? I can't.
Yeah, your face is terrible.
I can't really see myself.
Your arms.
Yeah, well, it was hot up there, so definitely
Yeah.
sticking to me a little bit.
No. Your eyelashes have like 3 coats of.
My eyelashes are coated.
Yeah.
I can tell that my arms are just completely coated.
Yeah.
So both jobs are very dirty. So either way, whether you're loading or up in the attic, either way you're gonna get filthy. And we had dust masks on. The good thing about cellulose is that it doesn't like itch, you know, like fiberglass. Fiberglass will get in your skin and it'll just itch really bad. At least this stuff doesn't itch. You may itch just a little bit, but nothing compared to fiberglass. Everything is covered in dust. We gotta get that door shut. It is stirring everything up. It's like snowing in here. Oh my God, that's horrible. Boy, I hope that doesn't blow out from the ceiling every time I open the garage doors. You know, and like a wind comes in here. That'll be bad if that happens. So we got a mess here. We still need to get cleaned up. But the blower was a rental. So we got to get that back and off rent. I think we were supposed to have it back at like 5:30, and it's like 6:30. So we're going to go a couple hours over anyway. But we rented it from Menards. They're open till like 9. But we're going to go ahead. I'm going to run that back real quick and get that off rental. So I just got back from returning the insulation blower. I've got all the receipts. I've got them totaled up, so I got the total cost. We'll talk about that in just a second. So this is the first time me and Rebecca has ever done blown-in insulation, so there's a learning curve. So on the second side that we did, we took there's an intake valve or an intake opening, and we took that from being 100% open and we closed that down to 75% open. And that made the machine run a little bit slower. It was easier for Rebecca to keep up, but I also thought it ended up not feeding as big of chunks through up there. It fed smaller pieces, it went on lighter, fluffier, and it went farther the second time. So on the second side, by the time I had it completely covered with insulation, we still had 6 packages left over. So then I ended up going back down to the end, and then I started covering everything back over and just building it up thicker. So by the time it was done and over with, basically I think we ended up with around 8-9 inches of insulation. Still not quite as thick as it should have been. So now for the cost of the blown-in insulation and the rental of the machine. This isn't going to cover the cost of the walk boards or any of that work we did earlier this week. So the rental, we actually rented that last night and took it back tonight. We had it for 26 hours, a little bit over a day. So we had it for a kind of long period. $95 to rent the machine. And then the 78 packages, we bought that at Menards. there's actually an 11% rebate, and we'll get that money back basically here in another month or two. So after the rebate, it was $1,007 for the installation. So that was $1,102 for the work that we did today. And that ends up being, so that ceiling is 1,280 square feet. That's how big that room is, 1,280 square feet. $1,102, that's 86 cents a square foot to insulate the ceiling. So when you look at it by square footage, I don't think that sounds bad. I mean, you're less than $1 a square foot to insulate that ceiling. So not too bad, 86 cents. Now what I'm not happy about is that it didn't go on as thick as it was supposed to. So 78 packages on 1,280 square feet should be R45, and it should be 13 inches thick of insulation. It did not go on that thick. We have enough material for R45, but it ended up, we only got it probably 8 to 9 inches thick. So it's not an exact science, I think, putting in blown in insulation, but I'm not sure exactly how to look at that. So it's on there denser than what it should be. But if you go by just thickness, 9 inches would be R30, 13 inches was going to be R45. So I think we're probably somewhere in between that. So I think we're good. I think I was shooting for R38, so we're somewhere in that range, I think. And that should keep the heat in so that we can heat the workshop and keep a nice temperature in there this winter. So as soon as we started putting this cellulose insulation in, it got dusty in here immediately. It was almost like there was a fog in here. So we opened up the windows on both sides. We tried to get a breeze to blow through here. We ended up opening the garage door. We put a fan in there. Anything we could do to get some air to flow enough just to take the dust out. So this blown in cellulose, this is like a recycled product. It's basically like shredded paper. That's basically what it is. And it's very dusty. Like, check out this. Look at the dust that just comes out of that. So that is covering everything in the shop. That thin layer of dust is on everything. And then on that wall over there, a lot of the insulation, when I was blowing it in, would blow over the wall and fall down. So you can see, like on these cabinets back here, there is a thick coating on there. There may be some an inch thick on top of those cabinets. So I got a lot to clean up before this is over with. So I'll probably spend a half a day tomorrow just trying to clean up all the dust and installation and get everything clean. But at least we're one step closer to heating the workshop. So the next big thing is this garage door opening. I've got it trimmed out. I put some fascia on there, got it all trimmed out with some black metal. It's ready for the garage door. I called the guy. He thinks he's going to be able to he thinks he's getting the door next week. So at the end of next week, he's hoping to put it on. So hopefully in another week, we'll have a garage door there and we'll have that huge opening sealed up. And then now a few other little places we need to cover up, and the workshop will be sealed up. So hopefully by next weekend, we'll have the workshop sealed up where it'll finally hold some heat. So that's what I've really been working toward, is I just want it to hold heat this wintertime. And so we're getting close to be able to really have a nice space to work in there. And of course I got to continue on putting the wood on the walls and the metal and all that. And that'll probably take me a while, but at least we're one step closer to holding some heat in there. But I think that's going to be it for today's video, guys. So thanks for watching. I hope you have a great day. I'll see you in the next one. Oh my God, Sydney, you're already covered in insulation. You guys got to stop wrestling and rolling around all over everything. Go, come on. No, oh. Hey, take it somewhere else. You actually probably won't get as dirty outside.